Okay, here we go. Um, we have in front of us a a library of parent functions. So, if you look at your book, we had sections P1 through P8. We just had a test on P1 through P4. We're not going to do all P5 through P8. It's just we're not really, we don't need to. So we're just going to spend some time looking over some graphs. And graphing is really important because at some point, I need you guys to be able to do this. Y equals -3 times the sine of pi x minus pi over 2 plus 1. So, and you know what? What's really cool is that people learn how to do that. And you'll be able to do that. We'll get you there. We'll take baby steps along the way, but we want to graph that. So if we want to graph that, we got to be able to graph basic stuff. So first of all, if we look at the constant function, the constant function would be something like f of x is equal to 4. And a function is something that passes the vertical line test. So it can only cross the graph once if you draw a vertical line. So that's the first type of graph we want to talk about is the constant 4. If you wanted to graph f of x is equal to -2, what would it be? Yeah, it would go down here, right? Now, along with each of these functions, I'm going to talk about the domain, and I'm going to talk about the range. Does anybody know what domain is? Is it the x values or the y values? It's the x values. Here's how I teach domain. Ms. Nelson and I have talked for years about the best way to teach it, and we both feel this is the best way, so we're going to give it a shot. Domain, I grab a vertical line. And this vertical line, what x value is this vertical line sitting on right now? -6. Does the graph cross somewhere when I have the line -6? Yeah, so -6 is in the domain. How about -4? How about -1? How about 1? How about 4? How about 6? Yeah, for most of these, the domain is what we call all real numbers. Or you could say, yeah, all real numbers. The range is the output. So it's the y values. And here's the way that we talk about range. We draw a horizontal line. And I'm going to, whoop, don't do that. Okay, so what y value is this sitting at right now? -5. Does the graph cross at -5? Uh-uh. How about here? How about here? How about here? Here? So there's only one y value that it crosses. What is that? +4. So the range is just one number. The range is y equals 4. That's it. Let's look at a linear function, okay? X. The graph of x looks like this. Let's try my domain. Is it cross? So what's the domain going to be? All reals. There we go. How about the range? All reals. The absolute value function looks like this. And these are all ones you've seen in your Algebra 2 courses. I know because I taught the Algebra 2. You guys who came in, did I give you guys a sheet? Okay, I did. Okay. All right. Just want to make sure. Sometimes I forget that. And it looks like this. Because absolute value always makes things what? Positive. And so before, if I had this graph, part of it was negative, it flips it and makes it positive. So anybody want to guess what the domain is? All real numbers. But what kind of values can't you get out for the range? You can't get out negatives. So therefore, the range is all y values that are greater than or equal to 0. Yeah. All the range values are from 0 on up. See that? All right. Quadratic functions, x squared. That looks like that. You tell me, what do you think the domain is? All real numbers. You can plug any number in and square it. But the range, again, what kind of numbers don't you get out? Negative. So y has to be greater than or equal to 0. Cubic function would be like x to the third. Looks like that. Domain, still all real numbers. Range, can you get out negative numbers this time? Yeah, and you can get out positive numbers, right? So all real numbers again. Now this is the last one that kind of confuses people sometimes. Square root of x. Tell me, what kind of numbers can you take the square root of? What kind of numbers can't you take the square root of? You can take the square root of, give me an example of a number you can take the square root of. 36, great. What can't you take square root of? You can take the square root of 6, it's just a decimal, right? Negatives, right? You can't take the square root of negatives. So the graph doesn't go on that side at all. And when we take the square roots, we say we really only get the positive values. So the range so everybody look at the domain. Do you have values here? Values here? Values here? Only for positive values. So that means that x is greater than or equal to 0. And then the range, the output will be y greater than or equal to 0. So what we want to do today is we want to try 4 examples where we want to sketch the graph. Yep. We want to sketch the graph, and then we want to describe the domain and the range, okay? All right, graph of absolute value of x minus 2, okay? So you really got to follow me here, okay? Write this above it. Inside horizontal, outside vertical. That's the most important part that you can think about. And if we want to be able to graph those kind of functions I showed on top, we got to be able to do these. We got to be able to understand this piece because I'll reference it during the year. Okay, so what is the parent function? Where does this one come from up here? Which one of these 6 does it come from? Absolute value. So I'm going to graph the parent function just so we understand what it looks like, okay? Now, how is this different from our parent function? What's happening? There's a minus 2. Is a minus 2 on the inside or the outside? It's on the inside, so it's going to shift it horizontally. Do you think it shifts it 2 to the right or 2 to the left? I know you think left because you see minus, right? But it's always opposite when it's on the inside. So it's going to move it 2 units to the right. Hey, buddy. So this is what it looks like. Domain is still all real numbers. Range, look at it. Tell me, what kind of numbers can I get out? Alejandro? Greater than or equal to 0. Good. Look at B. What's the parent function? Yep, the squared, the parabola, right? What are the two things that make this one different? There's two things here. The negative and the plus 5. Is the plus 5 on the outside or the inside? It's on the outside. It's only on the inside if you see it like inside the absolute value or under the square root or inside that square piece. That's what it means to be on the inside. So the 5 is on the, and the negative's on the outside. Okay, they're both on the outside. So they both affect it vertically. What do you think the plus 5 will do? Shift it 5 units up. On the outside, it's always what you think it is. On the inside, it's opposite. So it's going to go 5 units up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then what do you think the negative in front does? It takes the graph and it flips it upside down. So instead of going up, it goes down. So that's my graph. Domain, all real numbers. But how about y? How about the range? Can you get out a value of 10 from this graph? No, what's the biggest value you could get out? So all your y values are, how do they compare to 5? Less than or equal to 5. C, what's our parent function? Yeah, so the parent function looks like that, correct? What are the two things that change this graph, that shift it? What happens? Okay, we have a 3 and a 3. This 3, is it on the inside or the outside? Inside. So is it going to shift it right 3 or left 3? It's on the inside, it's always opposite what you think. So it's not minus 3, it's a 3 to the right. So 1, 2, 3, I'll go 3 to the right. Then this minus 3 is on the outside. What does that do? 3 units down. Domain. Look at the numbers that I can plug in for this one. Can I plug in 1? No. Can I plug in 2? Can I plug in negative 5? Can I plug in 3, 4, 5? Anything that way, right? So x value is greater than or equal to 3. How about my range? Can I get out negative 10? Can I get out negative 8? Can I get out negative 3? Yes. Can I get out 0? Yes. I could get out anything that is greater than or equal to negative 3. And we look at D. What's the parent function? Yep, it's a parabola. What are the three things that change its shape or change its location? The negative, the plus 2, and the plus 3. So which one's on the inside? The plus 3. So is that going to shift it right 3 or left 3? Left 3. Good job. You got that. Good job. Left 3. The plus 2. Will it shift it up 2 or down 2? Up 2. And then the negative on the outside, will that make it go right side up or upside down? Upside down. Is it coming back to you a little bit? Remember those? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. So the domain is, again, all real numbers. The only one that isn't all real numbers for the domain is the square root one. And then the range, can we get out 10, 5, 2, -2? Yeah, so anything that's less than or equal to 2. So that portion I gave you guys on top are your notes. If you look at this, this is the assignment, okay? So I'll do a couple really quick for you, okay? Let's do a couple really quick. This is the parent function, the -3. I would like you to draw the parent function, yep. And then -3, what does that do? Down 3. Domain, all reals. Range, all reals. Oh, this one. Let's try this one right here. What's the parent function look like? Make a symbol with your hand so I can see it. It's a cubic. Right? Kind of like an S. Looks something a little bit like that. The +1, is it on the inside or the outside? So is it going to move it right 1 or left 1? Left 1. Then the negative makes it, what does the negative on the outside do? It flips it. So instead, so it's going to start up here. It's going to go down there. Domain is all reals. Range, all reals. Let's do one more. Square root of x plus 5. What does that look like? Or absolute value of x plus 5. What shape does it make? A V? Plus 5 is on the inside or the outside? Inside. So it shifts it 5 to the left because it's plus 5. And then the negative. Does that mean it's right side up or upside down? Domain, all reals. But the range, what's the biggest y value you can get out? 0 is the biggest y value. See, I'm at a height of 0 here. So y less than or equal to 5. Or yeah, I just did it. So y less than or equal to 0. So this is your assignment, front and back. Okay? I'll post the answers tomorrow. We can check it out. Good job today. And we'll see you tomorrow, Friday. Yo. Yes.